And I had a bad night. And so I just had a bad night. I don't know why. Well, I just think it cost me a really bad night.
You and your team have said you had a bad night, but
Sure did.
Okay, so let's talk about this interview last night. Not really much to discuss about the substance of the interview, but we'll get to that in a second. Before the interview, Joe Biden and his team, they had this big rally. I think that was in Wisconsin. They were trying to hype people up. They had the most feverish Biden voters. I don't know if they shipped these people in or if they walked around all day trying to find people who would cheer for Biden, knowing damn well that he's a corpse. But they had this big rally for him and they drugged him up pretty good. He was looking half out of it anyway. And this is in the midst of the Democrats waging a civil war. Right now, majority of the Democrat Party is calling for Joe Biden to step down. Now, you got some of the big names like Obama, like Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi. Publicly, they are backing Joe Biden. They're saying, no, he's totally good. He can do 4 more years, blah, 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 blah. But we know they're lying. In fact, there have been leaks behind closed doors. Obama is leading the charge in trying to get Biden out of there. But let's look at this rally real quick because it was right before they aired the interview. It wasn't before he actually had an interview because he's incapable of having a rally, then sitting out for an interview. He had the interview days before, but he had this rally up there, then they aired an interview. Let's take a look at this clip.
Washington Post reports Virginia Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of Democratic senators to ask the president to step aside.
Yeah, all this while President Joe Biden is in the battleground state of Wisconsin for a campaign rally. Erica Brown reports that it's one of several upcoming appearances that could prove pivotal for his political future.
Thank you.
President Biden was fired up for his return to the campaign trail today. He made his case for another 4 years during a rally at a middle school in Madison, Wisconsin.
Now, you probably heard we had a little debate last week. Can't say it was my best performance. We love it, Joe. But ever since then, there's been a lot of speculation. What's Joe going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? What's he going to do? Well, here's my answer. I am running and going to win again.
After his poor performance in last week's debate, Biden has faced calls from some Democratic donors and a handful of lawmakers to bow out of the race, while many are taking a wait-and-see approach.
Joe Biden may have had a bad night, but 4 years of Trump is a nightmare. And I think the American people will make the right decision.
Earlier Friday, President Biden was asked if he could still win in November.
Can you still beat Trump?
The Biden-Harris campaign released a new game plan that includes a $50 million ad blitz with spots during the Republican National Convention and the Olympics, as well as what they're calling an aggressive travel schedule to the battleground states. But some Democratic voters in those states say questions about the president's fitness could jeopardize the election.
I think he's done a good job, but it's time that he stepped down for sure.
Another test for Biden will be his interview with ABC News, airing tonight in prime time.
Now let's get into this edited interview. And as I said before, there's not really much to talk about. The interview was very short. It was chopped down to 19 minutes. And I say chopped down because, again, it was edited. It wasn't a live interview. And basically what went down is George Stephanopoulos, the Democrat propagandist, the Democrat operative, George Stephanopoulos, who was handpicked by the Biden campaign to do this, he asked Biden in 100 different ways if you're too old to be president. He just kept asking him. George would say, aren't you too old? Don't you need to step down? And Biden would give some edited answer. And George would ask him another way.
What I'm asking you is about your personal situation. Do you dispute that there have been more lapses, especially in the last several months?
Can I run the 110 flat? No. But I'm still in good shape.
Are you more frail?
No.
I know.
And I've had a full physical. I had, I've been able to read for my physicals. Yes, the answer is.
I know your doctor said he consulted with a neurologist. I guess I'm asking a slightly different question. Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist, do an examination?
No one said I had to. No one said, they said I'm good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look, I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. You know, not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world. And that's not how it sounds like hyperbole. But we are the essential nation in the world. Madeleine Albright was right.
But one thing that I did notice was Biden's voice kept changing. First it was in that nasally, normal Biden voice. Then it kept getting more and more raspy to that Batman type voice.
George, I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shoved Putin down. No one thought could happen. Do I look like a clown? Not when you're running against a pathological liar. Not when he hadn't been challenged in a way that he's about to be challenged.
What will you do?
I'm not going to answer that question. It's not going to happen.
Where's the trigger? Where is it? You never give it to an ordinary citizen.
So this is what the interview was, and it was very scripted because Biden kept giving these scripted answers. He had to constantly say stuff about Trump being a pathological liar. He said that about 10 times. Trump being dangerous to the country, stuff like that. But one of the things that he did have to talk about was his excuses. Because after that terrible debate, they had all types of excuses. Even during the debate, his campaign said, no, he has a cold. That's why he's doing so bad. After that, they said, well, he didn't sleep good. He was doing too much. After they said, no, it was jet lag. Remember, he had to travel from France like a couple of weeks before the debate. So they had all of these excuses. He wasn't prepped right by the team. And at this point, even CNN, the propagandists at CNN, they're not even buying these excuses. Let's take a look.
Physical exam, but
That
now
was
he's
after
saying
the debate, the check-in,
after the debate,
yeah.
the check-in, but now he's
Before
saying
the debate, he was checked out by the doctor.
Yes, and took these tests because when
said for
Stefano-
COVID or an infection.
or an infection,
Yeah.
exactly, which he said he didn't have,
Right.
That they came back negative, but he was trying to explain to George in the interview that because George was saying, but you were back for 11 days.
Why wasn't that enough?
Why are you jet lagged for 11 days and still exhausted? And he said, well, I had this cold. I was sick too. So that's intriguing that the doctors were brought in at that pre-debate period after he got back from his farm.
And sums up saying, I just had a bad night. But the bad episode about what former Speaker Pelosi said, who of course you worked for, Ashley. I mean, that was probably the most intriguing thing of the week, that she is the one who framed that question so succinctly.
So the Biden campaign failed to accomplish their objective with this interview. Everybody saw that Biden was a corpse during the debate, so they said we're going to have an edited interview with a Democrat operative, George Stephanopoulos, and that's going to convince the American people that Biden is all good. They said, well, why don't you just do a 2-hour interview instead with the press, a 2-hour press conference, and see if Biden can stand and handle something like it. No, we're not doing anything like that. We're going to have an edited interview. We're going to have him sit down with a Democrat propagandist, spend days chopping up the tape, then we're going to release it to the American people. No, tens of millions of people watch the debate. Not that many people watch the interview, and the people who did watch it know that it's edited and chopped. So no one's buying it. Nobody. In fact, immediately after the interview aired, one of the Democrat congressmen came out and said, yeah, this is nothing. Biden, you need to go. You got to go, man. For the sake of democracy, you need to step down. Let's take a look at this guy.
Joining me now, Congressman Mike Quigley, Democrat of Illinois. Congressman, how you doing?
I've been better after watching all this.
Yeah, well, what do you think?
It was a horrible night.
The debate.
Yes, and everything's not okay. I know people's instinct is to be loyal, and I appreciate that. I know their instinct is to be a cheerleader, but that's not helpful. We need folks who are willing to understand where we are and what we have to do. And that is extraordinarily difficult. But you do it under the specter of a second Trump term, right? Hey, and I was in the room on January 6th. The second Trump term is a continuation of the last days of his first term, which is a nightmare in every respect. So I don't think they're helping anyone.
Who's they?
Those who cheer on and think, oh, everything's going to be okay with where President Biden is. This is hard to do. I would rather be doing anything else.
So there you have it. A failed interview, a complete waste of time, didn't convince anybody. I guess ABC got paid a little bit because a couple of people tuned in to watch it, so they got a little ratings boost out of it. Outside of that, a complete waste of time. Biden, are you too old? No, I'm not too old. That's all we had during the whole 19-minute short chopped up interview. So let me know what you guys think about this. Leave me your thoughts and comments below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.